Hey folks, welcome back. Have you ever had a situation where you have to either replace a starter or the solenoid itself and wondered, well, why are there two posts on the solenoid? Well, today we'll give you a little explanation on that and how to wire these things. So let's get after it. So starter solenoids usually come in two forms. For Fords, they're going to be a solenoid just by itself and the starter separate. For GM, the starter and the solenoid are one piece. And if you'll notice on these solenoids, you'll have two large lugs here, or large studs. That is for your main power coming in and then the main power coming out to the starter. Now, these things act like a big switch. And in order to energize the switch, it needs some sort of signal. And the signal then comes from another location. In most cases, it's an ignition switch. Now, if you can notice on this solenoid here, you'll see that there's an S and an I. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I labeled them up here. And this is for, again, for Fords and generally Fords and other applications as well. But for GMs and the like, the solenoid's actually on the starter itself. So you can see here, you also have a main post here. Now, since the solenoid's integrated with the starter, that's why you see this connection here. But then you have an R post and an S post. So what are these posts used for? Well, I think it's going to be easier to actually show you if I put together sort of a mini setup. So bear with me and I'll get on that right now. All right, we're back. So what you have here is a few different components. You have an ignition switch, we have the solenoid, you have what's called a ballast resistor, and the coil. Now, why is this ballast resistor important? For systems, older cars that use points, generally the points do not like full voltage. So in modern-ish cars like 55 and newer, that's 12 volts. So it steps the voltage down a little bit, which actually helps the points last longer. And that gets us to what these two posts are used for. Now, the starter post is what you would think. You take the key, you turn it to start. Once you turn it to start, it sends 12 volts over to the starter post and it closes the solenoid, which then delivers power to the starter and turns the motor over. Now, in order to aid starting on these cars, for cars that use ballast resistors, there's this I port, or in the case of the GM starters, the R. And what that does is it gives the coil a boost just during starting. So what happens is when you hit start, the solenoid closes, but it also delivers that same full voltage to the backside of the ballast resistor. So now the coil is getting a full 12 volts instead of, let's say, 9.5 or so. And that's just to aid starting. Now you say, well, I don't have a ballast resistor in my system. In fact, my ballast resistor is gone, so let's just take this and chuck it away. And my ignition switch goes straight to my coil. Well, what do I use the I post for, or the R post? Well, you don't. So at the end of the day, if your system, if you're running HEI, if you're running electronic ignition, and you're not running a ballast resistor, then this post isn't used. So, hope that was helpful. Please like and subscribe. It's great. I've already seen a lot of awesome support for the channel and I'm loving it. And if you'd like to see more content, please leave a comment or two and tell me what you'd like to see. Love to hear from you. Thanks and have a good day.